It is time to expand minds through movies, TV, sports, and flicks. It is time to boldly go where no podcast has gone before. It is time for the Captain Talks Flicks.
The Captain Talk Flicks.
Welcome to the Captain Talks Flicks podcast. I'm your host, the Captain Cortez, aka Mr. Love, and this is where we talk flicks. I welcome the podcast where me, the Captain, talks about movies, TV, sports, flicks, anything you can see on a two-board screen. I like to get out here and give my unique perspective, because after 47 years of being on planet Earth, I've developed a unique perspective about these movies, TV, sports, and flicks, and I let you get into about it. Because just maybe you care. And according to the stats, it looks like you do care. I want to give a big shout out to France. Got some plays from France this past week. Gracias, gratitude, todo repas. In France, I heard about that French language center you guys got, where the museum or the center is really focused on studying or talking about the history of the French language. Yeah, it seems very interesting. Since I'm a person that's into languages, I feel that would be very interesting for me to check out. So one of these days, when I'm over in France, I have to go check that place out. So thanks for listening, I appreciate that. And just FYI, back in the day I went to school to radio DJ, but never got a job. I think I never got a job because I just didn't have the right attitude. If I would have had the right attitude, then maybe that would enable me to become a radio DJ. But I didn't, and it allowed me to become the greatest podcaster in the Matrix. Something to debate, might be true, might not be true, but I said it on the internet, so it's gotta be true, right? Because everything on the internet is facts, not facts, true, false, propaganda, fake news, the Matrix, planes, trains, automobiles. I don't know. I didn't make the internet. Ask the people that made the internet. So when you're online, just beware, just watch out. Anyways, I can ramble here all day, but it won't. Let's get right into the podcast. But first, a word from our sponsor. Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever wondered what space sounds like? Well, recording artist Picard Tiberius has answered that question. Picard Tiberius says that his music that he creates comes straight from outer space. So if you want to hear what the sound of space sounds like, check out Picard Tiberius' interpretation in the track called Terra Incognita. It's an electronic, spacey soundscape from outer space and the cosmos. So check out the song called Terra Incognita. I'll put the link below. Now, let's get on with the podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, I am back again. Just got up a little bit ago. Had some coffee from El Salvador. Very good coffee, by the way. Read some books, read some research papers, tried to expand the mind, read a little something. And now it is time to podcast. And ladies and gentlemen, today's a special day. Because today is a different day than the podcast normally drops. Normally I drop the podcast on Wednesdays, but I'm going to drop the podcast on Tuesday because Tuesday is Halloween, bro. It's Halloween. And not only am I dropping the podcast on Halloween, but I'm going to talk about a Halloween movie. Now, ladies and gentlemen, in the history of all 500 some episodes of the podcast, I've never really talked about a Halloween movie or a horror movie or anything like that. This is a first. Just when I thought I couldn't do new stuff, I'm boldly going where the podcast never went before. So this is a first. First time I did a Halloween episode, and first time I talked about a Halloween show. So ladies and gentlemen, what Halloween show will the Captain talk about? What is he going to speak on? What will he talk about? Because there's so many to choose from. What is he going to talk about? Well, ladies and gentlemen, in the last couple of weeks, as I was on the internet, I saw a lot of marketing, a lot of ads, a lot of hype surrounding this show, this movie that was coming out. You're thinking, Captain, what is it? I'm talking about Five Nights at Freddy's. Yeah, bro, I saw so much hype in media and so much about it. I was like, bro, I got to see what this is about. I got to look into this. I got to check it out. I was, let me see what the hype is about, bro. Let me check it out. So, ladies and gentlemen, this week I'm going to talk about Five Nights at Freddy's. But before I do that, a couple of things. First of all, there will be spoilers. And second of all, I do own some shares in the parent company of Peacock. I just want to be clear and transparent to let you know. Now that I told you that, let's get into Five Nights at Freddy's. Ladies and gentlemen, before I dived into Five Nights at Freddy's, I had a couple questions. Who is Freddy and why are they there for 5 nights? I was like, I need to know the answer to these things. Like, who is Freddy and why are they there for 5 nights? I had to know that. And in the first half hour, that answer was revealed. You're like thinking, who is Freddy? Freddy is Freddy Fazbear. And apparently he has his own restaurant. And it's kind of like Chuck E. Cheese. If you ever been to Chuck E. Cheese in the United States of America, then you know what I'm talking about. Because when you go to Chuck E. Cheese, they got pizza, they got drinks, they got video games. They got these animatronic animals up there. Chuck E. Cheese and his friends, like dancing and playing music. This is what Freddy Fazbear's is. It's pretty much the same thing. But instead of Chuck E. Cheese, you got Freddy, baby. And that's who Freddy is. But so why do they spend 5 nights at Freddy's? Who is spending 5 nights at Freddy's? What's up with this 5 nights? Well, there's this guy named Mike. And Mike can't hold a job down, bro. He's struggling to hold a job down. Life is hard for Mike. Life is tough. He can't hold a job down. He's beating people up. Like, he's doing all types of crazy stuff, bro. He can't sleep. He's stressed out, bro. And he needs a job really bad, bro. And so he goes to this counselor, and the counselor's like, bro, I got a job for you, bro. You want to take this job? He's like, nah, first, I ain't taking this job. He's like, you know what, though? You reconsider it. I got to take care of my little sister. You know, life is stressful. Things are happening. I need a job, like, bad. So you know what? I'm going to take this job. So that's where the 5 nights comes in. And Mike spends 5 nights at Freddy Fazbear's. And that's where it gets very interesting. Because, spoilers. Turns out that these animatronic machines, Freddy Fazbear's, Freddy and Friends, are actually possessed by ghosts. It's absolute craziness. But this is a horror movie. What do you expect? So yeah, they're possessed by ghosts, and then all the action happens. And then the story goes on this rabbit hole of interesting things. And I don't want to spoil the movie entirely, so I'm not going to give that away. But I am going to go into a few things I found interesting in the movie, because if you've been here before, you know, I like to watch these films and take ideas and concepts out of them and kind of expand upon them. If you're brand new, this is kind of what I do. I find interesting things and concepts and ideas. I like to pull from them and see how we can relate them to real life. So when I saw the movie, I was like, there's a lot of interesting things here, a lot. So first of all, let me start with this. In the movie, the character Mike had something bad happen to his family in the past. And he's trying to find out what happened in the situation. So he believes and he thinks that he can use his dreams to get more information about the situation that happened many years ago. Right? He thinks he can go to his dreams to gather information. Now, as I went down the rabbit hole of books and articles and YouTube videos over the last decade, Mike is exploring some things that may be true in the real world. Some people, experts in those fields, believe that you can use your dreams to gather information. Because in the show, Mike says that basically everything you've ever seen in your life is recorded in your brain somewhere, right? That's what he said. And you can pull that up somehow, some way, supposedly. That's what he says in the movie. Now, there are some experts that say that this is true, that everything you ever experienced is recorded in there. And just accessing them is the tough part. And he feels in his dreams he can do that. Now, someone that dreams a lot, has a lot of lucid dreams, I can kind of understand that, because there's been dreams I've had where I've been able to pull certain information from these dreams. And then when I wake up, I kind of look them up on the phone, or I kind of look into them or think about them. But so to kind of expand about what he's talking about, dreams in general are a good way to gather information as far as that you can enhance your real life world, right? Stay with me, I know it's getting a little crazy. The mind is a very complex thing, and there's so much in there. I feel that in your dream state that you can just access things that your conscious mind can't. So if you're awake and lucid in your dream, and you really observe the dream, there's certain things you can pull, and then when you wake up, you can kind of look into those, study those, and those may somehow enhance your well-being as a human being. And I've done that many times. A lot of the art I create, I've gathered from doing research from concepts I've seen in the dreams, right? And as time progresses, I do seem to be getting a little bit better at that. So Mike might be onto something. He's like, let me go deep in my mind and let me see if I can find the answer to what I've been trying to figure out all these years. And that's what they go into the movie. Yeah, it's very interesting. And he reads a book about these dreams. I tried to find the book in real life. I think the book is fake. Because I like to read that book. I don't think it's a real book. But there's probably literature out there that talks about this, I'm sure of it. So that's one interesting thing. But wait, there's more. There's a lot of things to unpack in this movie. So in the movie, we see Mike has custody of his sister. But in the movie, we see that his aunt would prefer that she has custody of his sister, right? And so there's this conflict where they're trying to resolve that. But in the show, we see the aunt talking about the sister and talking about she's always making pictures. She's always like whatever, imaginary people and all this kind of creative type stuff. And she's kind of trying to squash it. Like, she shouldn't be doing that. She shouldn't do that. Don't be doing all those pictures. What are you doing? And it made me think about the real world. Because I've heard this also going down the rabbit hole, that when we're young, we're very creative beings. We do a lot of creativity. We have a very vivid imagination. And as you get older and older and older, living in the real world and dealing with real life problems diminishes that creativity because we're so caught up in the hustle and bustle of real life, which is necessary. World is happening. You have to deal with worldly things. These have to get done. Everyone has to do it. And there's nothing wrong with that. But a lot of these experts would say that basically we lose a little bit of that imagination and creativity as we get older. Now, someone like me has not, because if you follow my pages, you see I'm doing all types of art. I've somehow been able to rekindle that imagination and that creative spark. But a lot of human beings are just not doing that. And the movie's probably because like this aunt. This aunt's like, don't do that, don't do it. And they just stop. And over time, it just stop and never bring it back. And so, yeah, that was explored, right? And I saw that little scene in there and it reminded me like real life, like, bro, as we navigate the world, I feel creativity and imagination can be a tool or something we can use to navigate life and keep us healthier, better state of mind. If you just spend a little time in play and in art and in creativity and imagination, I feel will add to the overall well-being of our life. And to not let people or things or ideas or situations kind of take that away from us. Because every human being, I believe, that's not somebody I read from an expert or anything, but I personally feel this. Every human being has that creativity in them. A lot of people say this, well, I can't draw, I can't write, I am not a creative person, I don't have an imagination. I don't feel that's true. I just feel that you just haven't accessed it a long time. Because I've heard a lot of people say this, I'm not creative, I'm not imaginative, I'm not this and that. I don't believe that's true. I think all human beings do possess that. It just, like I said earlier, it just kind of diminishes over time because of real world stuff. And I'm not trying to talk bad about real world stuff because we have to take care of real world business. Dishes got to get washed. Bills got to get paid. Jobs got to be gone to, right? We got to do all these real world stuff. And not knocking it. This is part of reality, right? You should also take some time and some moments to indulge in a little bit of imagination, indulge a little bit of creativity, just a little bit. Don't forget the real world stuff, but also do a little bit of that. And the movie reminded me of that, right? So this movie, a horror movie about, this robotic bear. There's just a lot of things to explore just from this movie, which is very unexpected. So I would say, ladies and gentlemen, this movie is great because this podcast is all about expanding minds, right? All about expanding minds. And any artistic thing on the screen that we can engage with, if it helps add to expand our minds in some way, I feel is good art. So Five Nights at Freddy's was absolutely magnificent because I did not expect to be able to explore these ideas through this movie, honestly. So if you have not seen Five Nights at Freddy's, I highly recommend check it out. Now, one last thing I want to say before I sign off. I've never played the game. I don't know the source material, and I know sometimes the source material is way different than the movies, and people might not like this because it's not true to the source material, which happens a lot, all the time. But as someone that didn't really experience that, I'm just judging this movie just based on the movie itself. And one additional thing, when I watch movies, even if I do know the source material, I just look at the movie as something totally different. And I just go in with the thought that they're going to not even stay true to the source material and look at it as a standalone movie and just basically inspired slightly from it. And know that when you go to experience something like that, it probably can deviate from the source material entirely. And it happens a lot. And I've just come to expect that when there's a movie version of any source material, book, comic book, video game, whatever, that basically it's going to deviate significantly from the source material. So that being said, I think Five Nights at Freddy's is fine. But like I said, I don't know the source material. And if you know the source material, you'll be like, bro, it was absolutely horrible. And then, and maybe that's true. I don't know. But just based on the movie itself and based on what I saw on it, I think it was great, and I think you should check it out. And it's Halloween. It's the time of year to watch it. And one last thing, it was a PG-13. So you can have like young people watch it as well with you, and the family can kind of experience this movie. It's good to have a family movie, sit around with the family, watch something. And if you got some older kids, you guys can sit around and just have some fun, eat some popcorn with hot sauce, and watch a good movie. So, ladies and gentlemen, Five Nights at Freddy's. Great, unexpected. It's the first time in podcast history that I covered something that was horror, and I believe this is the first time I've done a Halloween episode. Yeah, we're boldly going where the podcast has not gone before. So, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for listening, and until next time, we'll see you. Persistence is the character of a man as carbon is to steel. Napoleon Hill. Until next time, it's Captain Peace.
The Captain Talks Flicks.